Hello, kindergartners. This week we're going to read Caps for Sale by Esphyr Slobodkina. And this is one of my favorite stories, and today, as I'm reading it, I'm going to wear my cap myself. This story is about a peddler. A peddler is an old-fashioned word for salesman who goes around selling caps. Let's find out what happens to him. Caps for Sale, Story and Pictures by Esphyr Slobodkina. Once there was a peddler who sold caps. But he was not like an ordinary peddler, carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on the top of his head. First, he had on his own check cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, and then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. And as he went along, he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street, calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," he said. And he walked out of town slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. He walked for a very long time until he came to a great big tree. "Well, that's a nice place for a rest," he thought. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First, his own checked cap, and then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and remember, then the red caps on the very top. They were all there. So he went to sleep. He slept for a very, very long time. And when he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure that his caps were in the right place. But all he felt was his own checked cap. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in the back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? Any guesses? On every branch sat a monkey. And on every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys, and the monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking a finger at them, "you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Tis, Tiss, tiss. This made the peddler angry, so he shook both hands at them and he said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their hands back at him and said, "Tiss, tiss, tiss." Now he felt very angry, and he stamped his foot, and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, "Tiss, tiss, tiss." By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry, and he stamped both of his feet and he shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Tiss, tiss, tiss." At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, he threw it on the ground, and he began to walk away. But then, each monkey pulled off his cap, and all the gray caps, and all the monkey caps, and all the blue caps, and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps, put them back on his head, first his own check cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and then the red caps on the very, very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." The end. Boys and girls, I don't know if you've ever heard of the saying, "Monkey see, monkey do," but I think the peddler got his caps back simply because the monkeys were copying him. When he threw his cap down, they threw their caps down. A fun activity you might want to do at home is if you might want to ask your family if you could collect all the caps in your household and then put them all in a big pile and maybe sort them into groups or categories by color or caps that you might wear at a particular season or the different ways caps are made out of different materials. So that might be a fun thing for you to do with your family. Have fun.